Hey team, how are we going? Just setting up a last couple of things, and then I saw inverse normal distribution. And standard deviation. Okay, so what I will do is I'll see if I can grab some exam questions and then get our good old ChatGPT to generate it again, and then we'll go from there. And I'm guessing you also want to do questions like finding the mean and standard deviation as well? Leonard, after you finish the 15-hour playlist, I think you can get started on the exams. But if you find the exams too tricky, then I would actually say do the tutorials, because that's like a lot of tutorials. But you know, just kind of get started. But I think you'll be okay with the exam papers though, so you should be all right. Okay, let's have a look. 2019. Let's go probability. Oh, we actually did something like that. Just want to check, what did we do last time? Because what did we do 19th? Oh, we did do probability with normal distribution, but we did we do inverse? Yeah, we did do inverse normal, but I think we'll do the standard deviation ones. But yeah, it's all right. We'll figure it out. Okay, so let me just grab the questions. Okay, we're gonna go straight into an excellence question, people, today, but it's because I think if you were to do the excellence question, it kind of builds up on it anyway. So let me just create a similar question, and then we can do it. Control V. Sorry, just give me a second. It should be popping up very soon, and then we'll go through it, all right? Do you have to draw a probability tree from written information? Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends on the type of question. So, all right. So I think I have a question here. Let me just find the work. All right, team. So this is going to be our first question. I'm just hoping that it syncs up. Yep, beautiful. Let's try that question there first. So as usual, I'll give you folks maybe like a few minutes to try and do it, and then I will go through the answer, all right? All right, Mahima, that's wonderful. That's great. So let's go for a couple of minutes for this. Actually, more than a couple of minutes, I think you'd need. But yeah, let me know how you go, and then I'll work through some of the basic steps that you need, and then from there we will try and get through it. By the way, Mahima, which school is this? Always curious. Palmerston North. Wait, don't you guys have a teacher that does stuff on YouTube as well? Or unless I'm thinking about different school. What's your school? Oh yeah. Yeah, this is level 2 probability. Yeah. Do say hello to him. All right, let's when is the next level 1 stream? I think if you look at the little schedule down at the bottom right corner, Tuesday. So that's, well, we're on Monday today, right? Yeah, Tuesday. All right, let's go through this question because I think we want to try and get this out. So it's weird because it's like today's Instagram message is like, if in doubt, draw a diagram. So I have to draw diagrams to actually try and understand these types of questions. Otherwise, I always end up making mistakes. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a diagram for this, predictable. But we're going to have a normal curve like this. Now, what it's saying is that a quality inspector found that 25% of the loaves weighed less than 740 grams. So we're going to put 740 grams here. And then from there, what we're going to do is we are going to say 25%, which is less than 740. So this yellow part here is going to be 0.25. Now the question's asking, what is the mean weight? So we don't know what the mean is. And we know that the standard deviation is equal to 18 grams. So with that in mind, how are we actually going to go work out the mean? I think if you're making silly mistakes during the practice exams, that's all right, because the more silly mistakes you make, the more you learn, which means when it comes to your actual exams, hopefully you don't make those silly mistakes. But again, don't stress too much about that yet. All right, so what do we got in this case? So we've got, I reckon we can actually write this as an equation, right? So what we're going to do is probability of x less than 740, x less than 740 is equal to 0.25. Now what we need to do is we need to find the z value. So we want to know what the z value is so that the probability is equal to 0.25. Now there's two ways you can do this. One, you can use the graphics calculator, or two, you could use the tables. For this particular one, I'm going to show you folks how to do both so that you kind of get the idea. So we're going to go into the calculator, go into stat mode, and then in stat mode we're going to go to distributions, which is F5, and then click on normal, which is F1, and then inverse normal. And here is where things get a little bit funny, but like basically if you look at the tail, that's right side, our tail is on the left side, our area is 0.25, our standard deviation we're going to leave it as 1, and the mean we're going to leave it as 0. And when we do this, we actually get the z value as negative 0.6745. Yeah, so let's just take that, negative 0.6745. Nathan, that's because it's actually telling you that 25% of the loaves weighed less than 740 grams. So that's how I knew that it was going to be on the left side, because remember that from the middle, that's 50%. So if you have 25% less, that means it's got to be on the other side there. All right, so next thing is that's a great question, Ben. I think the reason why I did standard deviation as 1 and 0, standard deviation as 1 and mean as 0, is because I actually wanted to find the z value. All right, so it's the z value that I'm going to use to figure out what the mean is. Because remember, the question's asking you to figure out what the mean is. And in our calculator, we don't actually know what the mean is, so we can't actually put a value there. But instead, what we do is we actually do the z value. So notice how I got the z value up here. You also have this formula. Remember, you have this formula, z is equal to x minus the mean over standard deviation. Well, we've actually got 3 items here and we don't have the mean. So z is negative 6745. The x is 740 minus the mean, which is what we're looking for. And the standard deviation now is 18. Now from here, you've got two options. One, you could do it the long way, or two, you could actually, again, use the solver in your calculator to try and figure it out. So if you go into menu and go down to equation, and you can go to solver, and in here, you could actually write the equation down. So you got negative 0.6745 is equal to, we've got 740 minus the mean. So I'm just going to put it as x for now, and then divide that by standard deviation, which is 18. So when I press equals, and then I got to click on solve, I get an x value of 752.141. So the mean is equal to 752.141. So if you want to do this the long method where you're rearranging things, you would have negative 0.6745 multiplied by 18 equals 740 minus the mean. Then what we're going to do is 0.6745. So let's just do that in the calculator. So we'll have 18 times negative 0.6745. So that's equal to negative 12.15. And then bringing the 740 over, that's going to become minus 740. This is all equal to negative the mean. So here, when we add these two things together, we're going to get negative 752.15 equals negative mean, and then mean is just equal to 752.15. Now what I'll do is I'll put a bunch of line numbers, and let me know if you have any questions on any particular lines. Yeah, that's a really good little tip there from MB Shadow. Like if you got, and I saw that before, some of you had like 728 as an answer. Now you can't get 728 as a mean, because remember, the mean is actually higher than that 740 grams. So you have to get a number that's actually above 740. So that's just a good indication whether you've got a right answer or not. Now this question here, which year was this question from? This question was from 2020, and it was actually worth an excellence grade. So just to kind of give you a bit of a gauge, you got achieved for getting this part here. You could get merit for getting up to here, and then getting excellence was the final part there. I think the dot person in TikTok, you just got to show working, like show the diagram if you can. But sometimes you don't need trees. Like it depends on the types of questions you have. So Z is not the shaded part. The shaded part is the probability. So that's the 0.25. Z ends up being here. Remember, like this 740 is the X value. The Z value is underneath the 740, except it's going to be negative 0.6745. So you have to think about it like this. The X value and the Z value are the same things, but they're just like two different kind of distributions. So line 5 and line 6, all I've done is, I mean, you don't even need to do line 5 and line 6. You could generally jump from the diagram to line 7 straight away. Line 5 and line 6 is just kind of giving an idea of what that 740 and that Z value is. That's all. The negative 0.67, I got it through inverse normal on your calculator. If you were going to do it manually, I think it's part 3, part 4 maybe. Yeah. So you will have the normal distribution table, and you want to be looking at 0.25. And I think 0.25 is right about It's right about here. So if you have a look at it, this is 2486, so that's the 0.6, 7, and roughly 4. So that's how I get that value there. So it's 0.67 for the 2486, and then 4 for the remaining 13 part. But you can actually do that straight away in the calculator if you want to do that. All right, should we do one more question like this? Because, I mean, I'm trying to think, in 2024, was there a question where you had to find the mean or standard deviation? Yeah, they changed. Okay, let me give you another question. How should you... Yes, Miss Oliver, welcome. Yeah, of all the probabilities that I could have got today, I had to get a 0.67. All right, we got one more question coming up. This one, I don't know why, but they actually only have it as a merit, which is really strange. But I think these questions are now getting changed. Kaya, we are doing that right now. Okay, so same kind of idea for these questions. And let's find the standard deviation for you. Jax, like those questions are a little bit tricky for me to kind of make on the spot with ChatGPT, because ChatGPT doesn't create the images, and because of that, and like I've tried it with Gemini and I'm still not getting quality questions. So yeah, it's a bit hard for me to do that on the spot because I can't actually generate those questions. But the rest of it, like the probability trees and stuff like that, I can definitely generate it. But on the spot, it's a bit tricky. Run, this is level 2 probability. Got 8.59. All right, so I'm going to start doing this question slowly. So looking at the diagram first, we've got teenagers, 14, 16, mean weekly hours spent is 56 hours. I tell you what, I mean, I've been doing the workshop on balancing the equation, and I can tell you right now, this number is so wrong. There is no way their average hours is 56, but in this case, we've got average is equal to 56. Standard deviation, we don't know what it is. It's also found that 10% of these teenagers slept less than 45 hours per week. So that's going to be 45 there. And then this yellow part here, that's going to be the 10%. All right, so with this in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what the Z value is. Now, as I said to you, you can actually use the calculator, which again, I'll show you both methods. So with the calculator, what we're going to do is go into stat mode and go distributions, normal, inverse normal, our left side again, but this time we're going to look for 0.1 and leave the standard deviation and mean as 1 and 0. And what we get is Z value equals negative 1.2816. You don't really need it, but I'm just putting that many. So from here, I can say that Z is equal to X minus the mean divided by standard deviation. Then we're going to get negative 1.2816 equals 45 take away 56 divided by the standard deviation. Bristy, yeah, all of my stuff on TikTok will get uploaded to YouTube. So now we can just rearrange this. So I'm just going to put standard deviation equals 45 minus 56 divided by negative 1.2816. Again, if you're in doubt, you could always just use the equation solver, but for the standard deviation, it's simple. Just cross multiply and you're good to go. So we got 45 minus 56. So that's negative 11 divided by negative 1.2816. And that gives me a standard deviation of 8.58. Frog, we're just doing some random excellence / merit questions on normal distribution. Now I doubt they'd actually make this any more trickier than what it is, but you know, they do like to surprise us every now and then. Okay, this one, wow. Lukman, I will show you, but like I'm just gonna post the next question, another similar question, but this time I'm just gonna mess around with the words a little bit. Give me a second, team. Yep, so Jax, like all of that I cover in the probability playlist, because when you do normal distribution, I do cover that. But long story short, it's, I think the number is 68, 95, and 99. So it just means that every time you go one standard deviation plus or minus, you cover 68%, I think. Could be wrong. Can't remember right now. And if you go 2 standard deviations, you get 95% of the data, and then 3 standard deviation is 99. It just means that how much area is covered as you go plus or minus 1 standard deviation. That's all. All right, here comes the next one. I mean, there's really only like 4 types of questions they could ask, and this is a 3rd type of question. Ooh. Here's the next question, folks. Marine, yeah, I'm here as well. Frog, I don't think I can do that. Like, there's a lot of paragraphs. I hate writing. All right, I'll do the numerical questions, but not those long paragraph ones. Katie, I think I did my last part 10 of the probability playlist has that. So you can have a look at it. What's the difference between Z and standard deviation? Z is the normalized value. Standard deviation is how far things are apart from the mean. That's all. Tim, I'll give you another couple of minutes to do this, and then we'll go through the answer again. IQR from a histogram, what you need to do, Thomas, is find the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So, and then from there, you should be able to figure it out. So, Izzy, we started gaming again, my son and I. So we've been playing Fall Guys, but we haven't been streaming it. We've just been playing it, and we might just do it after the exams are over. We don't want to interrupt you people, because I know some of you would like to come and jump on and play. So up to you, Katie. I don't know what your career pathway is, so can't really answer that question. All right, let's have a look at this. Assume the daily minutes spent on video gaming follows a normal distribution of 95 minutes. Right, so mean of 95 minutes. So that means 95 is there. Then it says 12% of these teens game more than 130 minutes per day. So 12% is going to be this part here. So that is 0.12. And what we've asked to find is calculate the standard deviation of gaming time. All right, so gaming time, we're looking for standard deviation. So from here, what we're going to do is first figure out what the Z value for 130 is. And the way we're going to do that is inverse normal. So go into menu, go into the stats mode, and then head over to distribution, normal, and inverse normal. So this time your tail is on the right side. So we're going to go right, and then the area is actually 0.12. And so our inverse normal, like the normal value, Z value, should be 1.17. So for under 130, we're going to write that as 1.175. Now, if you were to do a mistake, and let's say you do it as left here, notice how it's giving negative 1.17. That's because it's actually giving this value here, because you actually went 0.12 from the left side of the tail. So really important that you put the correct tail. Otherwise, you end up getting a really weird answer. All right, so we've got our Z value. So then we've got Z is equal to X minus the mean over standard deviation. So we've got 1.175 equals X is 130 minus 95 divided by standard deviation. Rearranging this, you're going to get standard deviation equals 130 take away 95 is 35 divided by 1.175. Look, I always get, like, people always get kind of angry with that, but like, you could do that. I think even if you do 1.17, you'll be safe. All right, so we're gonna go to menu and Michaela, it will be always 1 for the standard deviation, and the mean would be 0 because you're trying to find the Z value. You're not finding the what do you call it? You're not finding the actual X value, so that's why it'll always be 0 and 1 when you're doing inverse. Lucia, that was through inverse normal. So all right, let's come back to this. We've got 35 divided by 1.175. So basically what we've got here is standard deviation equals 29.78 minutes. Alexander, borderline between merit and excellence. because these tend to be follow-up questions from like a couple of extra things, and I think if you get both of the questions, you get an excellence. So sometimes they mix it up like that. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly, but I know it's definitely these ones tend to be like merit. Right, let me pull up another question for normal distribution. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, we've covered the tricky questions for normal distribution. Unless, oh, okay, all right. Let's try this one here. Another variation that they could ask. Why? Your lives? No. That's so weird. TikTok's crazy, man, because it's basically said that I'm too static, and then therefore it's not gonna be popping up. I'm static because people are doing questions. All right, here we go. Here comes the next question, team. Trust me, it's super annoying because I don't think it's meant for like a studying platform, but yeah, this is what I decided to do. All right, that's your next question, team. So this one is also a merit question. Yeah, let's just try this one here. Why is solver showing 20.11 for the answers? Is that for the previous question, Kutapa? Did you actually press x equals and then click on solve? Hey, zombie, welcome. Maggie, with the probabilities, I usually go with 4 decimal places, and I think like these guys are saying 3 SF, but yeah, I always go with 4. Just me being me. I haven't actually read through the finer details of the marking schedule to kind of answer that question. No worries. You're welcome, Thomas. We've got algebra, and I think some of these guys have asked for a calc tutorial on Friday as well. So looks like I'm going all the way with till 4th of November with tutorials every night. Yeah, level 2. Level 2 is on November 4th. That's next Tuesday, I think. We probably will have one more, Thomas, but I think a lot more people are probably wanting algebra and calculus, but nah, zombie, I think after November 4th I'll do all the calculus ones, and then after that we'll do all the level 1s can get their fix. Yeah, well, look, Abdi, we've got a couple of people that are close to that 112 answer, so let me actually go through it, and we'll go from there, all right? So what we've got is time, customers, blah, 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 yada. Okay, fine, here we go. So our mean is 6.5, and our standard deviation is 1.2. And we're trying to figure out between how many of these would you expect to have wait between 6 to 8 minutes for their tickets. Now 6 is somewhere here, and then 8 is somewhere here. So what we need to do is we actually need to work out the probability first for 6x less than 8. Now, I think doing just a diagram should be good enough for you, and then you can jump on into the calculator. So, but if you want to play it safely, you could also do this. So you can go to menu, go to stat mode, and go distributions, normal, and CD, and then here your lower is going to be 6, your upper is going to be 8, your standard deviation is 1.2, and your mean is 6.5. And when you actually do this, notice how it actually comes up with low and up. What you could also do is you could actually put down probability. Low is the 6 one, so you can go 0.41. Between Z and 8 could be written as 1.25. And now you could actually write this as 0.555. Now we're actually asked 200 customers are bought. How many would you expect? So we're going to go 200 multiplied by 0.555. Controversial question. This always happens. What was the actual number? Was it 5558? Was it? I think you guys got 558, didn't you? I can't remember. Let me just go back and have a look. 2 distribution, normal, NCD. 5558. Okay, let's go 5559. All right, doesn't matter. So 200 times 0.5559. So here's the problem, right? Like if we do this, we're going to get 111.18. And what we know is that it can't be 112. So you can't actually round it up, because rounding it up means that your probability will be incorrect. So it's actually better to say in this case 111 people, 111 will wait between 6 to 8 minutes. So you can't actually go up for this one. So James, Kevin is right. Yeah, just past papers, put in ChatGPT and regenerate it. Yeah. Now, Josh, I don't think you can round up in this situation, because if you round up in this situation, what that would mean is that your probability will go beyond 6 and 8, because you're actually going above that probability. So in this case, I wouldn't actually round it up. Alexander, yeah, this is a merit question from 2021 merit question. All right, one more merit question. Let's see how we go. This is from 2022. Similar style. Nah, Ching Ching, this is not level 2 probability revision. We're just doing some questions from normal distribution, that's all. That's what the people from YouTube wanted, so... Oh, Ravi. There we go. Next question. I think this one's actually a lot more easier compared to what you guys did at the start. I think the start were a lot more challenging than these questions, but nah, I wouldn't answer. Like, as I was saying to you, if you go 112, then what would happen is that you're expecting a higher probability, and that means it will not be between 6 and 8 minutes. it might be between like 5.9 minutes and 8.1 minutes. So that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't actually round up in this situation. Because you're like, between 6 to 8 was that 0.55. Now that's giving you 111.18. If you go 112, then what you're doing is you're actually expanding that bracket. Like, it's no longer between 6 and 8, but it could be like a little bit higher. So that's why I wouldn't do that. I don't think I understand your question there, Ching Ching. If you're asking if I've done all the probability videos, there's a playlist on my YouTube called Level 2 Probability in 10 Hours. That might help you. It actually just goes through everything, so yeah. This is a merit question, by the way, this one as well. Anton, hopefully I'll answer that question about the 111 or 112. All right. I think we're good to go with this answer yet, or do we need a little bit more time? We got our first answer, 21.6. All right, let's go through this question now. So again, I'm going to draw a diagram as usual. Just my normal distribution curve. And what I've got is mean as 25. Standard deviation is equal to 4. Now it says Ravi considers only the shortest 20% of his travel times to be on time. So the shortest 20% means it's going to be this part here. That is 0.2. And we're trying to figure out what that... what's the longest travel time that... Is this one of these weird questions? What have I done here? X minus 24. Yeah. Okay. No, it's just the wording. I'm just getting messed around with this, but considers what is the longest travel time. So basically, I think we're just looking for this value here, right? So probability of X less than question mark is equal to 0.2. So from here, what I can say is probability of the Z value. So I can actually figure out what the Z value is, because the Z value is, I'm just going to go to inverse normal to do 0.2. So go to distributions, normal, inverse normal. I'm going to go left tail, the area as 0.2. My standard deviation is 1, and the mean is 0. And I've got negative 0.84. Does this actually work if I put 25 and 4? Because I've never done it. I feel like it's going to work. 4 and 25. Huh. What do you know? It does work. That is sweet. So you wouldn't even need to do any kind of calculations. You can just directly go and say that X is equal to 21.63. Now, I wouldn't do that if I were you, just because I know that they start picking on like little things for grades. So instead, what I would do is I'd do something like this. I'd go negative 0.8416 equals 0.2. Then I would just show them the formula. So negative 0.8416 equals x minus 25 over 4. And then in the final line, I probably would just put 21.63 like that. Hey Avinash, how you doing? So yeah, that's another like nice merit question. And I think that's about it, guys. I mean, we've done pretty much all types of questions in the last kind of 5 years related to normal distribution calculations. So yeah, early night in 50 minutes. That's me done today, team. Thank you so much for joining in. But yeah, in terms of the revision stuff, I will say, like, I think those playlists, the probability in 10 hours playlist would be quite handy. And then the exam papers, I think those are my two strategies, two resources that I have for you at the moment. But yeah, unless you have like other exam papers that you can practice, that'll be really good for you folks as well. NBA 2K, or at least is it always left on calc? It depends on the context of the question, I would say. Well, I'm trying to think of a different context where shortest could actually be on the left side, right side. Maybe not. Maybe I could be wrong. Yeah, NBA, I think it's all down to the actual what type of context of the question is. So it's not a guarantee, but you have to read the question and go, well, is this going to be on the right side or left side? When you need to find the standard deviation, Michaela, you use inverse normal, but you actually put standard deviation as 1 and the mean as 0. That should actually help you out with that. Yeah, I think the only time you actually put 1 and 0 is when you're trying to figure out what the mean and standard deviation is. Because if you already have the mean and standard deviation, you can put that straight away in, like in this question, right? Like, remember in this question we actually put 0 and 1, but if I had actually put 4 and 25, I end up getting the x value, which is 21.63 already. So it just depends on what your question is asking you to do. That's all. Yep, no worries. All right, team. How does the scoring work for this? Like, how many do you need to get excellence? Because I'm a bit confused. Says, long story short, this is what happens. You get given 3 questions. And in each of these questions, you could get, don't even ask me why they do this, but this is how they've done it. So if you get, I think it's 2 achieved, like 1 achieved question, you get a N2. Let's not get there yet. And then you get A3, A4, M5, M6, E7, possibly an E8. So it basically goes like you get these numbers, and then those numbers, so for each question, maximum you can get is 8 points. So if you get 24 out of 24, you're pretty much guaranteed an excellence. But they have something called cut scores. So if you get like 0 to 7 maybe, and these numbers change, that's the problem. So some years it'll be 0 to 7 is not achieved, and then 8 to 14 could be achieved. 15 to 19 or 20 could be merit, and then excellence usually is 21 or 21 to 24. And those cut scores actually change, Seth, because it depends on how challenging the paper was, and so they have to change the scores based on that. Yorima, I've got no idea, and I really don't get into the trying to predict what the paper is going to look like, because I don't want to say anything about that. Frog, if you just do the excellent questions and skip the rest, you can get excellent. Yeah, that's correct. So Frog is right. So the risk is in level 2, sometimes the excellence questions are not necessarily the last one. Sometimes they have it in the middle. That can mess you up a bit. Like in calculus at level 3, it's pretty obvious that the last question of each of those question E's would be excellence questions. But I think in the level 2s, they tend to mix it up here and there. It's a bit annoying. That's all right. You're welcome. All right, team, if there's no other questions, just let me know, and then I shall be off. Yeah, time to get ready for school tomorrow. Ben, it's tomorrow, Ben. That's a tricky one to answer, Kaliko, because that's the whole point of practicing excellence questions, because they are different. So you have to get a wide variety of questions that you can answer and that you get used to answer. Michaela, that's entirely dependent on your school. But I can tell you this, like I had a kid that didn't do level 2 algebra, used my complex numbers, used all of my playlists and managed to get an E and managed to get into AU for engineering. So the game's not over till the end. So, but you just got to be ready to put in the hard yards. Shanvote, depends on what's your strength, because I find that if you attempt something that you are confident in, then what happens is like your confidence kicks in, right? And what you don't want to do is do something challenging and then figure out that, oh my God, I'm running out of time. So I would say like do the questions that you find easy first. So you get that out of the way, get some confidence, and then give yourself some time to kind of process those long, tricky questions. Frogo 2, it's usually on all of my socials. If you just go to my channel, you'll see it. I'll always post it there. There is always something easy. They do give some free questions every now and then, so keep your hopes up. I'd agree with Giorno, because like I always every time I remember when I used to get the papers, what I did was like I have like a little traffic light system, color it in, like, you know, rank them 1, 2, 3, and I know that my ones are like, these are the bread and butter questions where I'm like, yeah, I just know how to do this, let's get it done. And then you get the level, the 2 questions, that's like I need to think a little bit, and my 3 questions, which I'm like, I got no idea how to answer these. But the whole point is like, make sure you read all the questions before you even start answering any of them. That's the biggest thing I'd say to you people, is that read all the questions and then come up with a strategy of how much time you want to spend on some of these questions. It doesn't matter, Chaos. I think what can happen sometimes is that little bit of extra time that you get, it actually allows your brain to just think about those questions. And you know, someone asked me, you know, how do I practice excellence questions? It's like, look, you try it, then you go look at the answer schedule, see how they did it, and then you come back and try it again the next day, and you just keep doing that. Just keep practicing. You know, that question about the blackout exam papers. That's why I stopped doing certain papers, because I was just so tired of looking out, trying to find papers with the actual diagrams. I was like, can't be bothered. Crumb, it depends on the diagram itself. So if you have your tail is, I mean, if the colored stuff is on the right hand side, then you would put right tail, and if it's on the left side, you put it on the left tail. I think the question you're trying to ask me is like, how do I know which tail to color it in? That usually depends on the question and the wording of the question. So, you know, I always draw the diagram and then I read the question again and go, ooh, does my diagram actually make sense with this question? Because if it doesn't, then I'm probably doing something wrong. I don't know what that means. I think we did that yesterday, Giono. We did some optimization yesterday. I do have graphing videos. I think they will be under tables, equations, and graphs. But what I might need to do is I might need to just give you guys, find all the relevant resources and package it into one playlist that you can actually just watch, or even like, I don't know, the whole level 1, all the concepts in like 1 hour. Could do that. No, that's too much work. Maybe. Hey, look, team, take care. I've got to get ready for tomorrow's school day, so I will catch you folks later. Tomorrow I'm doing level 1, so if you're doing level 1, join in tomorrow. And level 2 again, I don't know when I'm doing level 2 next. I think I'm doing it on the Wednesday. But yeah, have a good one. Take care. And YouTube, as always, thank you for watching. See you later. Why does this always happen? This little one thing.